This is a demo of BrightStat, which is a statistical program that you don't have to download. It does all of its work online. You do have to register for free, and you do have to upload your data set or your assignment for Module 6 and 7. But you don't have to worry about whether you have a Mac or a PC, which makes it a pretty good option for this course. I'm going to go ahead and log on to this program using a username that my wife invented, and let's get started. Let's take the file that I've provided you with, that is for Module 6 and 7. It's called Master CSV. It's a text file that's delimited with commas. That's what CSV stands for, comma separated values. And I'm going to click on Upload Files. And I'm going to choose a file. And I've downloaded Module 6 and 7 all quite a few times, as you can see here. So I'm going to go ahead and open it. And when I do that, it appears down here on the screen where it says Choose File. Now below that I have to tell it what kind of file it is, and since I know it's a comma delimited file, I choose that selection. And the delimiter comma is expected. Notice I can also upload Excel files, but I haven't tried that yet. The last thing you want to do is click on the box that says File contains variable names in the first row. So when I submit that, it goes to BrightStat, and there's a short wait involved here. It tells me on the screen that my data has been successfully uploaded. So at this point I can go ahead and start BrightStat, which is one of the options here on the left part of the screen. I'm clicking on it, and it brings up another window . And this window looks like this. It tells me that I can either load files or I can move them from my database. Now I have uploaded that file to my database, so I have some options. I'm going to click on OK, get past their little thank you screen. By the way, you can donate money using PayPal to the people who write this to show your support. That's up to you. See how generous you are. But under the File menu, I can import from my database. Since I already uploaded my files and they live at BrightStat, I'm going to use Import from Database. And when we look at the database, we'll see that there's actually two versions of the same file. The one that I just uploaded numbered 6, and the one that I uploaded about an hour ago when I was first trying this out. So I've highlighted that particular file, and I click on the Load button, and it magically puts that data into the spreadsheet after a short wait. You may have to click on the Load button a couple of times to get it to go. Through the miracle of editing, it looks like this all happened instantly, but actually there was like a 10-second wait for me to get to this screen here. So if it takes a while for you, don't be alarmed. The first screen you see is actually the variable view, which is like the variable view inside of SPSS or PSPP. The variable view shows all of my variables for Module 6 and Module 7. It tells me the names of the variables, the type of variable, any kind of labels. I can change things that I want to change. If I want to look at my raw data, I click on the Data button in the lower left hand of the window, and that takes me to my actual data. This looks very much like a screen from SPSS or PSPP, except I don't see any row numbers. Each row that looks like a row is a separate row. I guess they didn't see any need to number them. At this point I have some options. Most of the options that matter to doing Module 6 and 7 come under this Analyze menu. If I were doing Module 6, I would choose the Descriptives. And by clicking on Descriptives, it brings up a small window, much as is done by SPSS and allows me to choose variables. If I was person number 40 in class, for example, I could bring in each of those items into the empty box on the right. And I'm doing them one by one. I'm not using gender because it doesn't make any sense for me to measure the mean and the standard deviation and the minimum and maximum values as required by Module 6 for something like gender. If I wanted to look at gender, I would just count the number of males and females, and that would give me a frequency distribution. As soon as I click on OK, it goes off and it completes all of the information I need for Module 6. It's a very easy way of doing Module 6 compared to some of the other methods that I explain in class. Let's go see how it works for Module 7. Again, this time I'm going to click on the Analyze button. But for Module 7, the first thing you want to do is a correlation. And if I move the menu down to Bivariate Correlations, let's say instead of person number 40, I'm person number 39, so I'll scroll down the list of variables. And I will put in fear of speaking into the test variables and experience for person number 39. And then I do have to tell it that I want Pearson's correlations, something I don't normally do with SPSS. And I have to display the test statistics. So there's a couple of boxes here to check. When I click on OK, it gives me the information I need for Module 7. It tells me that the correlation between fear of speaking and experience for person number 39, it looks like only the 3 is showing there in this box, is, as you can see, 0.084, which we would round to just 0.08. And it also shows me that the significance level, or the p-value, is 0.658, which we would round. We could round to 0.66, but actually when you report things, as you'll learn in Module 7, you just say that it's N period, S period are not significant. So that's just about how easy it is. You've run the correlations, and now there you've got all the answers in a box. If you want to go ahead and run other processes for Module 7, it's a matter of finding the Analyze menu again. Part 2 of Module 7 is to do an ANOVA. So when you click on the ANOVA button, it's a matter of finding your dependent variable, which is always fear of speaking. I'll go back to person 40 for this. And then you can put in any number of fixed factors. I ask you to use education, so I'll put in education. And when you click on OK, it runs an ANOVA test. It even does more than SPSS. It shows you what the means are for each of the 6 groups. The important thing you need to know is at the bottom of the screen down here. At the bottom of the screen, there's your ANOVA table. And it tells you that the degrees of freedom are 5 and 24, which is what it'll always be if you have 6 groups of 30 people. And it gives you the F value, 1.30, or actually 1.31 if you round it. And it gives you the significance level, labels it as a P, 0.29, which is not significant. If you want to do the t-test, which is the third part of the exercise, you click on Analyze. For a t-test, you're comparing the means, so you find the Compare Means menu. In the case of males and females, they're independent samples, so you choose independent samples. Let's do it for person number 38 here. You put in fear of speaking for person 38. And your grouping variable is gender for person 38. Unlike SPSS, when you put in the grouping variable, this program guesses correctly that they've been coded 1 and 2, which is actually an improvement over PSPP or SPSS. I click on OK, and BrightStat will go out and show us a t-test. At the top of the screen there's a table showing the mean and standard deviation for the first gender, which is male, and the second gender, which is female. In the middle of the screen it tells you what Levine's test is, which you should ignore. And then at the bottom of the screen you have the information for your t-test. It tells you in that first row the t equals 0.68 if you round it. Degrees of freedom is 28, and that the significance level is 0.5, which is nowhere close to being less than 0.05. So you would say that this is a t-test where the results are insignificant or not significant. That's a brief tutorial of how to use BrightStat. I'll also be demonstrating this in class.